Everyone, and a warm welcome to Pokarna Ltd's Q3 and 9-month FY18 Analyst and Investor Conference Call. We have with us today Mr. Gautam Chand Jain, the Chairman and Managing Director, and Mr. Paras Kumar Jain, Chief Operating Officer of Pokarna Engineered Stone Ltd. We will begin this conference call with opening remarks from the management, following which we will have the floor open for an interactive Q&A session. Before we begin, I would like to point out that some statements made in today's discussions may be forward-looking in nature, and a note to that effect was stated in the concall invite sent to you earlier. We've had a chance to go through the presentation and the documents of financial performance. I would now like to invite Mr. Paras Jain to make his opening remarks. Over to you, Paras.
Thanks, Gavin. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for taking the time out for joining our earnings conference call. Before I begin discussing the key operational developments, I would like to apologize for the delay in arranging this call due to unavoidable reasons. Trust all of you have received the investor presentation sent. Let me start the discussion by running through the headline numbers. Our revenue for the quarter and the 9 months stood at 88 crores and rupees 241 crores respectively. EBITDA for the quarter stood at rupees 31 crore, while on a 9-month basis it stood at 77 crores. Margin for the quarter and 9 months stood at 35% and 32% respectively, while PAT stood at 15 crores for the quarter and 33 crores on a 9-month basis. Moving on to a key operational development. We are pleased to announce that we have completed the registration and purchase of land for setting up of our new greenfield engineered stone facility. The land is situated near to Rajiv Gandhi International Airport and is also in close proximity to Inland Container Depot of Hyderabad and is connected by road to key domestic ports. The facility will cater to both international as well as domestic demand, which we are witnessing in the encouraging trends. Moving on to quartz business. The business continues to be steady. As mentioned in our earlier call, we are focusing on developing products which rank high in terms of aesthetic look and presence. Such a strategy may result in lower throughput, but realization would be better on a long-term basis. We continue to work on developing and strengthening our R&D capabilities and maintaining a healthy product line. To conclude, I would like to reiterate that we remain positive on our businesses. This concludes my opening remarks. We can now start Q&A session.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now begin the question and answer session. Anyone wishing to ask a question may please press star and 1 on your touch-tone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and 2. Participants are requested to use handsets while asking a question. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. We'll take the first question from the line of Kaustav Bubna from SKS Capital and Research. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hello. Just wanted to know, on your granite business, we've been seeing improved performance. So what is leading to this, and do you think we've bottomed out in the granite business, and any outlook on that? That's the first question, yeah.
Some improvement is due to the efficiencies on the quarries front, where the productivity has been improved after the development phase, and I think going forward will be the same, more or less, what we are doing in the last 3 quarters, based on same top line as well as the bottom line.
Okay, and we've been talking about restructuring our debt from domestic to foreign. I mean, we've been talking about this for a while, but nothing has happened on that front. Could you update us on, now that we've got the land?
No, finally, are we talking about the old debt which was to be restructured to foreign currency loan?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, we have already received the confirmation from 2 banks, and even the third bank has though given a letter, but we are waiting because all the 3 banks want to implement at the same time, and I am hopeful that next few days or weeks it should be implemented. But we have already got the confirmation from 2 major banks, and the third bank is awaited still, though they have given an official letter, but we have yet to get the confirmation in terms of the rates and the implementation date.
Could you share these bank names? Is that possible?
Yeah, Union Bank and Indian Overseas Bank have already given their confirmations, and we are awaiting Bank of India's, though they have also given their letter to confirm, but we have yet to get the sanctions from them.
So you're saying in FY19 we will see this effect?
Yeah, definitely.
And do you think, I mean, as we are seeing this, business environment, even your strategy changing for your quads and granite to, focus on high value, do you think, and I mean, now that we've got the land, do you think FY18 would be like a bottom year for you in terms of performance?
The new plant should take, I don't know, till we don't get the reschedule of the whole line implementation from Breton, but it will take, as I've been telling earlier also, that from the day we start, it should take about 18 months.
Yes.
So 18 would be definitely the same period, as well as I expect even 19 to be in the same range.
Okay, but you don't think that your efforts in granite and quartz should lead to a year-on-year improvement in both these businesses?
Marginal. It is nothing to talk till we don't add the capacity.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Great. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. The next question is on the line of Siddhant Maheshwari from Multi-Act. Please go ahead.
Yes, thanks for the opportunity, sir. In the last call, we discussed that imports of quartz in US are growing in double digits, but Pokarna is seeing decline in quartz sales. India's exports of quartz to US are also growing at a faster pace. Like we got this data from some websites. Hello?
We've said that the quartz is actually increasing in the US. You are right on that front. Now, as I mentioned at the beginning of this call, we are now, what you look at basically from those websites is the square footage which comes in and not the value in real terms. So, as we have said in the beginning, that we are now focusing on producing the products which are more aesthetic driven apart from having a strong technical capabilities. So that would have some impact on the throughput on the long-term basis. And the quartz exports increasing from India is not really a worrisome factor for the simple reason that we are not competing on a basic segment of the product, which is actually the case with all the other manufacturers based out of India. And as a strategy, which we just mentioned about some time back also, we will focus only on the products where the realizations are better than the basic products and the throughput would be limited. So I don't think we should look at square footage as the basis for evaluating as to what is happening on the exports out of India into the US.
Okay, and sir, are we planning for any capex in the granite segment in near future?
No, right now there is nothing on the cards.
Okay, and sir, do we plan to set up any subsidiary in US to take advantage of the low tax rates?
No, right now nothing planned.
Okay, sir, do you expect any impact on profitability due to increase in crude prices, mainly in terms of cost of resins and transportation costs?
There would be certain effect on the profitability. You would have also seen in the recent quarters that little bit of effect is there because of the crude increase and the resin price increase.
Okay. And so just the last question. What do you think, what is our competitive advantage apart from Breton technology against other Indian manufacturers who are exporting quartz to US?
See, basically, technology is one aspect of the business. There are various other aspects of the business which are very important also to understand. The first and the foremost is your sense of market in terms of your understanding and also your sense of what the trend is. If you look at the quartz business, unlike any other natural stone business, it is predominantly fashion driven. So you should typically be having a good grip on how the trends are moving, why the trends are moving, and towards what direction the trends are moving. So with our background of fashion, if you recall the association of promoters, it all starts from their fashion background. If I could just briefly mention, Mr. Jain started his career with, making some proprietary designs and all with Raymond, and that is his family business for ages now. So our sense of understanding the fashion is something which is very important. Secondly is also our understanding of various other aspects of production process. Like if you see, there have been various manufacturers in the world who have been into business before us, but still have not been able to catch up as we did in the past. So that is because of also doing something which is proprietary not only on the product side but also on the process side. So we've done a lot of other modifications within the line ourselves with our experience. So that is something which is proprietary to us. So this is one of the key reasons, and of course definitely having a good team to perform, a good young and energetic team which actually complements the technology and other aspects of the business. And then definitely having a good raw material base. If you look at one of the best qualities of quartz is available in India, and fortunately it's available in the states where we operate. So that is also an important aspect. And then definitely our understanding of the natural stone business of 25 years and the network which we have developed over the decades of having a relationship with partners across various countries. So that is also an important intangible aspect of the business.
Okay, sir. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you. Before we take the next question, we would like to remind participants that you may press star and want to ask a question. The next question is from the line of Sandeepa Ghosh, an individual investor. Please go ahead.
Good afternoon, sir. So I have a few questions actually. So regarding the EBITDA margins which have been spectacular in quartz segment in Q3. So is it the traction from the new quartz products we have been making?
Sorry, your question was not clear. There was some disturbance in the line. Can you please come back?
I was saying, yes, sir. The EBITDA margins have been spectacular in quartz business, right?
Sorry to interrupt, Mr. Ghosh, sir. Your voice is breaking up.
Okay.
Hello?
If I got your question correctly, your question is that quarter on quarter you see an improvement in EBITDA margin, right?
Yes.
So definitely that is one of the reasons that the new products which we have put in the market that has also impacted the margins improvement what you see. And apart from that, various other operational improvements which we are trying to achieve. But on longer term basis, we will have to see all these things because we see the trend in crude going up in the recent future. So we'll have to see it on a long-term basis. How do we have the sustainability?
Achha. So is the top line in the quartz going to increase going ahead? What do you think? Depending on the demand in the new segments we have produced in the quartz?
See, we are not looking at the current focus is not on increasing the top line, but is actually on improving the margins and protecting the bottom line. So that is the reason, if you just recall what I mentioned at the beginning of the call, that we are now focusing on the products which have high value aesthetics and which would impact the throughput. So we don't expect the volumes the top line to drastically change, but we expect the bottom line to improve gradually.
I get my point. Thank you, sir. Another thing is in the US there is a inflation fear going on. The CPI index data is moving up rather than the expectation. So how do you see this inflation coming up in the US going to affect our margins? Will that improve? And what is your outlook on the whole aspect?
See, we haven't really studied it fully, so it would be premature to comment on it. So we will have to see how it impacts, because our business typically is not driven by things on a very momentum basis. So we will have to see how it impacts. So to be honest, we have not really applied on it, mind on it, and because our industry not typically moves on an inflation basis.
Okay. So the US tax cut rate from 35 to 21% the corporate taxes. So do you think that will affect our taxes, and will it not make the US production lines more competitive, US based production lines?
I don't think that, just a cut in a tax rate typically impacts the pricing policy. Pricing policy has got various components, and one of the components is definitely the tax structure. So we don't really see that cut in a tax rate is a threat to a manufacturer from non-US country.
Okay, so last one is also the quartz sector. So we were trying to decrease our geographical concentration risk by spreading to other countries like Australia and Europe. segments, which are also matured markets. So do you think we can maintain the present quad margins or a ballpark figure of the present quad margins going forward if we start marketing in those countries?
See, basically, every country has its nuances, and every country has certain products which are required to be there. So, if you go back to our previous discussions also of since the time we've started the conference calls, margin protection is definitely our priority, and that would not come at the cost of, entering some market. Of course, there could be some entry strategies to begin with, but on a medium to long-term basis, definitely the margins would be something where we would focus on. And there are definitely pockets within these high competitive markets where the demand for good products with better margins is still existing.
So I understand your intention. So, but still continuing on this line, the IKEA route, we are going to market our products in the core segment in India. So, what do you think is the margin possibilities in India? In quads?
I would still maintain what I told you. Just because you are a partner of a particular company doesn't necessarily mean that you don't get the margins. So we believe that whatever partnerships which we have made till now, we believe that the margins would be on the lines what we have been maintaining.
Thank you, sir. All the best to you. Thank you. I'll go back to the line. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Keshav Mishra, and retail investor. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. My question is related to the granite section. We see in the PPT that there has been reduction in GST rate. So, with the implementation of GST regime, do you see finally granite business coming to the organized sector more in India?
As you are aware that we focus most on exports, of course the GST will play an important role in the domestic sector, but also it will definitely give momentum to the organized sectors. But this is too early to comment the effect. But obviously organized sector will get benefit out of the GST implementation.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you. A reminder to the participants, anyone wishing to ask a question, may please press star and 1. The next question is from the line of Saurabh Jain, an individual investor. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Sir, good afternoon. I have 2 questions. One is that you mentioned that you are focusing on quartz products with higher realization. Combine this with the fact that our quartz sales are down by 20% over last year in this quarter. So is it correct to assume that we have sufficient capacity to produce some additional 20% quantity without any expansion?
I think 20% overall in the 9 months, not the quarter. And that was because of the shutdown for 45 days in the first quarter.
Right.
But the more or less 5-10% fluctuation will always remain each quarter because of the product mix that we make. Okay. So basically what you are talking about is not in this quarter, it is in the first quarter of this financial year, where the shutdown was there and we are trying to make up in the next quarters now.
Right. No, sir, sorry to, just put in the numbers. So Q3FY17 sales, quarter sale was 55.7 CR and Q3FY18 is 46.8, and the shutdown was happened in Q1 of 18. So I was actually referring year-on-year numbers.
No, 5-10% will obviously, there will be always a change because of depending on the product mix may do during this quarter, because product mix also includes different thicknesses as well as the different price category products.
Okay. So in summary, sir, I just wanted to understand, even without expansion, we can do additional 10-15%, right?
It will depend on, again, the order book, because if there are more color changes, the productivity goes down. If there are less color changes, productivity, efficiency improves. And also depends on the thicknesses when it to come to the values.
Okay.
So it is a mix of both. product as well as the thicknesses.
Okay. Sir, my second question is, do we currently sell in US in our own brand, or are there plans?
Yeah, we do have large distributors now selling with our own brand.
Okay.
And we are adding a lot of new distributors. And going forward, we need to improve our brand promotion rather than doing only private labels.
Okay.
That's future focus.
Okay. Sir, just one suggestion, that's an input from my side. So I was doing some online research, and there are a lot of online forums on internet where consumers in US are discussing about which brand of quartz is good. So my suggestion was, I am a sales and marketing professional as well. So my suggestion was, it is a very low-hanging fruit. If we can increase our online presence on these forums, wherein we can interact with these consumers in US, I think that can help in establishing the brand, and it will not cost anything.
Yeah, suggestion well taken. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Ashish Kacholia from Lucky Investments. Please go ahead.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
My question pertains to the demand scenario in the US. How's the demand scenario for the...
Demand is growing for quartz, as for the competition.
Okay, and on the supply side, are there more lines coming up like ours, Breton Technology worldwide?
Yeah, they will be continuously, because the market for quartz is growing. Obviously, more lines will come, more competition, not only from organized sector, but including unorganized Chinese line players will be looking at selling in the US market. So that will continue actually.
What would you think would be the percentage growth in terms of the value in the US quartz market?
In terms of value, आया numbers कुछ?
See, basically, we are expecting that the US market on a CAGR basis would grow at least 20 to 25% year on year for at least next years.
20 to 25%? Huh?
Yes.
That's a huge number. Yeah.
It's actually happening. If you look at the statistics which are coming from the US market, which are quite general and open also for the public to access, quarter on quarter there has been a significant increase in the quartz offtake, and that actually, and if you look at the percentage of growth which is not happening in other surfaces including granite, is also one of the reasons why quartz is picking up. And also with the commercial activity picking up in US, the demand, especially in the commercial side, the project side, is also getting translated to the quartz segment. And some part of laminates are also giving away their share to quartz. So as a quartz as a market is actually the most happening market in the recent times.
Are you suggest? Yeah, please continue. Sorry.
No, I am done now. You have to ask me.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask if the Chinese quality that is, used to be pretty inferior to Breton, has that picked up and kind of also giving good competition?
Everything is selling in the market, including the Chinese product. In terms of visual look, they have improved definitely. But technically, the product remains the same, more or less. So, premium end of the market will always ask and demand for Breton stone product quality. But in US market, again, price also plays a role, and the low-end customers still buy Chinese product because they can still use quartz instead of using something else.
Right, sir. And you just mentioned that we are also looking now to sell more and more product under our own brand name. Is there any reason for this change in strategy? We used to be pretty focused on being a good OEM supplier earlier.
No. This was a predetermined strategy. That first strategy was to make sure that we run the machines all 24 hours. And now the next strategy is to create the brand awareness and long term, which is more beneficial in all ways.
Any
Ashish bhai, the same thing, I just add to what Mr. Jain said. While we focus on our brand creation, it doesn't mean that we dilute our OEM business. So that focus continues, but the amount of focus what we had on Quantra in the past would drastically increase both in the domestic and the other markets.
We seem to have got back our margins in this quarter. I mean, 20 crores on 47 crores of sales. So, I mean, does this mean that we have maxed out on the sales to get this margin? What would you give us a sense on overall the kind of EBITDA that we can extract per year from this business?
See, we think that I'm assuming that the crude prices would typically, at least for a quarter, be strong. So, adjusting my talk to that subject, we believe that the top line can still be strengthened, and proportionate adjustments would definitely happen on the margin side.
So we can have some 10-15% growth in the top line from where we are currently in terms of utilization?
Yeah, once we stabilize the production of our new colors, I think we are confident of getting that done.
Right. Thank you very much and all the very best, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, that was the last question. I now hand the conference over to the management for their closing comments.
Thank you for participating in this call, and we look forward to talking to you again. Thank you.